still few materials out in front of where they had everything stockpiled. But they did get rid of the bigger pile of stuff. I don't know if they burned it or hauled it to the landfill or a combination of both. This is one we were looking at last fall. So I guess they're down to the standard county items stashed out there in the field, but it's a lot better than it was. It was one of the top 3 on our list. And so at this point, I'd say it's reasonable.
So where were we at with?
Yeah, so we never filed on this one. Last winter, Don sent them a letter, and in essence, they said that they were going to clean up and burn some of the material, and it appears that they did that. And so I guess what we wanted to do today was to bring it before you, because it was one of those 3 on the priority list, and see how you guys wanted to move forward. I mean, quite honestly, looking at it at this point, and looking at the provisions in the land use code that we might be able to enforce under, I think it would be a dubious case to try to bring a complaint. I mean, certainly there is the provision in the land use code that prevents the transfer of windborne waste. I'm not seeing that that's happening here. I don't think we have any information that that's happening here. And then there's sort of the catch-all provision in the land use code that says properties that threaten the health and safety and welfare of the public. You can't have that. I mean, I suppose that we could try to make some argument, but quite frankly, I mean, looking at these pictures now, I'm not sure that this is any longer in that top 3, but ultimately that's for you guys to decide. I mean, this is how it sits now, and so we got those pictures, and it's really up to the board as to what you guys want to do.
So is this mostly, is it metal now that is out there, Don? I'm trying to, or is it
That's
kind of?
Bigger chunks of metal appliances, furniture, couch, dishwasher, it looks like, that are in front of the part that they remedied.
So is that part of, and I'm just trying to talk through this because it looks like they're making an effort to try and get it done. If we, with the money that we set aside to pay the landfill fees, I mean, I think, would it be worth reaching out to them to finish cleaning this up, letting them know that we could, have we done that? Or do you know, Travis?
We're still in the process of trying to formulate the plan on how we're gonna enact that landfill monies. But yeah, this would definitely be something we could reach out to
Because,
them
I mean, I know the appliances, the sofas, those are probably larger costs.
Mm-hmm.
But if they're making an effort, it looks like they've made a lot of effort. You know, they might get it all cleaned up
Right.
properly if we, actually help them.
Yeah, that I don't know. The claim from the neighbors is that they go clean up other properties and haul it in there. So I guess we'll have to keep an eye on it and see if that's what's occurring, because then we don't need to help them make money
Sure,
from other
sure.
properties.
Certainly where it was, though, compared to where it is now is substantial, right, Don?
Oh yeah, it was probably 1/10 of an acre of solid mound of. It was a landfill
Yeah.
before.
No, we drove by it. We actually viewed it.
Right. So
So your recommendation then is to,
well, without any kind of program, it's up to you guys if you want us to say, we appreciate your efforts, but you're not done yet, or that based on dozens of other properties in the county, how do you guide that it's any better or worse than others?
I think at this point, to file a complaint in court would be difficult.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think it's impossible, but I think, given what other properties in the county look like and given where this is at,
so
I
you
don't know.
recommend taking off of the top 3 at this point in time? I mean,
Yeah, I
Along with
think
the
so.
letter-
I mean,
along with the letter saying thank you for your efforts and can you continue? I mean, I don't know.
But I think it certainly would be nice to get it even better, obviously. But, I mean, just from a court perspective, if we took this into court at this point, with the land use code the way it's written, I think we would have a hard time.
So it doesn't look like there's anything environmentally, well, I mean, it's a photo, you can't really see everything that's there.
Right. Not anything substantial.
Okay.
They have gotten rid of a lot of that stuff. I mean,
Oh,
they
yeah,
have,
it's, you can see
they
it.
have got,
It's,
I mean, you can see a big difference in it. I mean, when I went by there, it looked to me like they had cleaned up a lot of it, so. I mean, they've definitely made an effort to clean it up, so.
So yeah, I think a lot of these items is what they sorted out of that pile so that, you know, that stuff wouldn't burn. So they got rid of a lot of that
sure.
torn down structure material, and that's what's left that hasn't been hauled off.
So
And I
if-
can send them a letter, tell them we appreciate their efforts, and if they can continue, then it would be appreciated.
I think
Leave it at
that's-
that.
I think that's all we need to do at this point in time.
It's kind of strange though, because they changed the name on the account to another part of the family, and I don't know what's the reasoning there, but I guess we send it to the same address.
Yeah, I would send it to whoever's listed as the property owner. And so if it's a new owner, then send it to the new owner.
Yeah.
And then my suggestion would be, I mean, this was one of the top three, so I'd like to get with Don this coming week, and we can talk about some other properties that we can present to you guys. I know there's a couple that pop into my mind that there may be a little bit of a delay, but we'll see.
Okay.
Yeah, there's still the one on Road P, and I don't know. They were working and hauling through the winter and supposed to be taking care of some of that material this spring. That's like a legacy waste deal, so I don't know.
And that was one of the properties that we talked about for the new program that we talked about with the money. And so, so we'll get together this week and kind of try to get a status update on that, and then try to figure out a new one to rotate in.
Okay. All right. Sounds good.
And the one down south, the neighbors actually had the realtor broker, they built an 8-foot fence between them and the neighbor, so that at least is out of sight, out of mind.
Well, I think it's out of sight for that neighbor, but you go down that county road, I went down there the other day and I'm like, holy smoke, it's just gotten even worse.
Yeah, it's
It's-
the issue that's still in a trust because they didn't close it out, they didn't transfer deeds, so it's kind of a, how do you actually enforce anybody when you're
There are ways.
So that one's really a stretch to try and do anything, I guess, other than
Well,
go serve them to the.
we would have to
the-
get the trust back opened and get it. There are ways to do it.
They've added more to it.
Yeah.
Since we took our
Okay.
tour down there. It's, Gerald, you probably see it, or Commissioner Copenhagen than anybody, but it seems like it's growing.
Yeah, if anything, it's got worse, I think.
Yeah.
But
I
like
can
you
send
said,
another letter to the physical address.
Let's chat this week and
Okay.
we'll come up with stuff for you guys to rotate in next
Because
week.
those do become environmental. I mean, when you have
Mm-hmm.
engines, fuel, oil, batteries, I mean, those are environmental.
Right.
I don't know, but the one right out there, the other side of the Todd Lake Road. On
Oh,
that
that
side where
one's-
that trailer is and all that stuff there is just, it's a total
Yeah.
mess now.
Yes,
It's
it is.
worse. It's getting worse.
I
Yeah,
think you have a lot
I
to
think their
choose
trash
from.
pile blew up and blew everything across the property, so.
Yeah.
They're getting a letter, but the problem is the physical address, then they have a mailing address that goes to no property listed in the county, so. We may have to just go have somebody serve.
Yeah, we can do, The same thing like what we're doing with our OWTS and just serve them, correct?
That's right.
Yeah, I think we have plenty to choose from. I think we can fill that slot pretty quick.
Yeah, that one,
Okay.
we gave them
Yeah,
some
yeah.
leeway to get back into a residence after their place burned up and they were living in the backyard, but now the whole place looked like it blew up and scattered everything as much as you could scatter it, so.
You know, the other thing I would mention would be, there is a public nuisance statute, and that's something that the district attorney's office can enforce and work towards enforcing on some of these properties. And so, we have a new district attorney starting in a couple weeks, and, you know, I plan to have some conversations with him about a plan moving forward, because, you know, certainly some of these properties would fall under land use code stuff, but then there are certainly properties that also fall under that public nuisance statute. And so, that may be a mechanism that we can try to, get some of these things resolved as well. I mean, one of the nice things about the public nuisance statute is it allows for a right of entry and some things that, our land use code statute doesn't. I mean, with our land use enforcement, we can impose fines and get a lien on the property, but it's still sort of a long, drawn-out process. A public nuisance claim could potentially move things along quicker. So, so once our new district attorney starts, that's a conversation I'll have with him.
Good.
Okay,
That's all we've got.
okay, thank you all,
Thank you.
appreciate it. Okay, moving right along, public comment. I'm just gonna ask, do we have any public comment today? Okay. It's opened and closed, and we're gonna move right along. Sheriff's Office, first on the agenda for department reports. Sheriff.
Morning.
Morning.
I had to babysit one of your folders this morning. Okay, calls for service for the month of April. This year, 1,595. I didn't see it, but there's 129 vehicle inspections. And we only had 3 auto thefts. That's good. We're doing a lot better than the city of Cortez right now. I got it. Oh, sorry, forgot to turn the rainbow on. Okay. Any questions about the calls for service, gentlemen?
No.
Nope.
Livestock, we had 15 livestock at large. We're starting to get a few more of those, but pretty soon they'll be moving. For the jail, we had 9 transports in the month of April, 154 hours, 4,153 miles were traveled. The cost per diem for the title from January to April is $1,134.49.
So are most of the transports going to Denver? Is that
No,
Or-
they're
Pueblo?
all
Anywhere.
4 states, yeah. We've been getting extraditions from New Mexico, Arizona, and Utah as well, so. But yeah, there have been 2 transports to DOC. So that'll really show we're really starting to cut down on the number of DOC inmates that we have. So this is the jail count for the month of April. Males and females, total number of days from the 1st through the 30th. What's really more important is the arrests and the release all the way through. You can see how it continues to have that pattern. Some days there's more arrests and less releases. Others there's less arrest and more releases. So they're in and out all the time. For billing for the city of Cortez, 15 inmate days, they were billed $1,500. And for Dolores County, for the month of April, 52 days at $5,200. I understand that Dolores County is also housing some or taking some, I understood, to Monticello. So I don't know how that works, but that's what Judge Plew was telling me. So we only have 2 from Dolores County in today. Mancos, 1 inmate, 3 days, $300 was billed. And our DSC holds, these are all gone now. Total of 42 days, they were billed $4,200. We know that we'll only see a certain amount of that.
So we have no DOC hold right now? We're,
You know, I didn't look this morning, but there was only 2 in there.
wow, that's
A
good.
couple days. Is that, yeah.
First time ever.
So it's not bad, yeah.
No.
A lot of them are going to ComCore and whatnot, so, you know, that's fine, yeah. And the 2, I know that there'll be 2 in the detention center from Dolores County that we'll probably have for quite some time, just like the other one on a felony case, on felony cases. So that could be over a year, you know, with those. This is what was charged for inmates that we just went through. And this is what was deposited into the treasurer from the funds that were collected by the sheriff's office in the month of April. Total amount is, it should say April, not March, $45,432.52. Any questions about the jail? No?
In your housing of DOC prisoners, can you break out meals served to them and charge different for your meals? Or is it all just under one?
It's all $100 a day.
Okay.
And that's going to, once we get
Yeah.
our cost analysis done, I'll bring that back to you. That, it's up to you. You can increase that if you want to whatever. I'm thinking 120.
Well, we increased it
Not too long.
not too long ago, 6 months ago, 5 months ago.
Yeah.
It didn't do us any
6 months
good.
ago. Hey.
Hasn't been that long
Trying to
ago,
help
but,
you out, okay?
Anyway,
Yeah. I mean, we can always increase it. I mean, it just,
You know, and I don't know what will happen with the legislators this year when it comes to DOC reimbursements. You know, they generally in the fall, probably in August, we'll see something on that. Don't hold your breath. I don't know what it will be, but I certainly hope it's more than what they're paying now. I mean, anything's better than nothing, so. I do have the Law Enforcement Forest Service co-op agreement. It's here, I sent. And I'll show you how I broke out the budget on that. It's a reduction in the amount of days that are actually patrolled because they never increased. That was requested to be increased. So the fuel and expense, everything is there. The fringe benefits and the overtime at $50 or $55. I think it is. Get down to where that's at, $50 an hour. That was what was reported to them, and most all the sheriff's offices are going to that rate. I'm hoping that they will increase the amount that we continue to get, if they will continue to do that.
So I've got a question. When I reviewed this, Steve, why is the rate for miles so low at 51 cents?
They said that's the federal rate.
I don't,
Well, the
I know.
federal rate that we all
I
look
think it's-
at, that we get sent,
Yeah.
is much higher than that.
I mean, 56?
No, it's 63,
yeah, it was
65?
Now it's up
How
a
much?
bit.
65, I believe. I can
Oh,
pull it back up, but it's
I don't
much,
know.
it's much
But-
higher than that.
Yeah.
And our hourly rate per certified deputy is higher than $50 an hour.
Yeah, well, at the first of
So-
the year, we were doing that, and then it changed to 60. So, yeah, but that also pays for their benefits, and so out of that total 10.5, with the number of 6-hour shifts, which is a lot lower, the benefits are included, or they pay for the benefits. Yeah.
Correct, which we figured that
Right.
also.
Yeah,
It was all inclusive, but still $50 an hour doesn't cover,
yeah,
it doesn't cover our cost, and neither does 51 cents a mile.
Yeah, federal mileage rate brought it up to 65.5 cents a mile.
yeah.
So
Well, I can send it back to them and ask,
Yeah,
you know. It's gonna just reduce the number of times that we have out there, so, but that's, whatever.
I mean,
I mean, that's the only thing I can do.
these are the
is ask
Fed guys,
them.
they should be paying their rate.
Well, that's what they said
Yeah.
that they're doing, so I can send it back and ask them to increase that to 65 cents a mile and $60 an hour, see what they say. I'm sure they don't care. They just need to put it in this agreement,
Okay.
that's all.
right, so their dollar value is the same, you're just gonna patrol less hours.
Yeah, the dollar value will never go.
Right.
So, but the thing is that I have to have patrols out of McPhee Lake on the 3 holidays. That's gonna be a big one. It's gonna be busy. And so, all right, I'll send that back to that patrol captain.
Okay.
Right.
Anything else?
I mean, I think that, and I get that we'll be out there on those 3 holidays, but that'll probably use the entirety of that.
Better not, but it might. I don't know,
Well,
you know?
we don't know what each
Well, if
holiday
that's the
is
case,
gonna
I mean,
bring.
there's no way to bill or even figure out mileage on a boat on the lake. Okay, so
That's
it's a
hour-
lot less.
It'd be hours.
It's a lot
Yeah,
less.
it's all by hours.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so,
That's per vehicle. Okay.
all right.
All right.
All right, thanks. Okay. Mr. Devers.
There we go. Good morning. How's everybody doing?
Good.
Good.
You're still busy, huh?
Pardon?
You're still busy.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. The month of April, we had 19 calls. We had 10 hospice cases. We did 7 autopsies. We had 1 more motor vehicle accident. No suicides for the month, which was good. No overdoses, but we did have a homicide. And then the numbers have changed over the weekend. Now we're at 104 total cases. We're at 59 coroner, 45 hospice. We've done 23 autopsies. We've had 6 motor vehicle fatalities now, 3 suicides, and 1 homicide to date. So
How does that compare to last year, George?
right now, as far as the total numbers, the only thing I've looked at, we're running real close to the same. I think we're 1 call behind last year right now.
So
So it's running
kind of historic data.
pretty close. Suicides, we're running about the same. We normally average 1 a month, but some months we go without them, and then we hit them in the holiday season. So it's kind of hard to go off of them. The year-to-date numbers anyway.
Okay,
We ended up with a double fatality on Saturday down by the 4 Corners. So that kicked it up a little bit more. But still plugging away.
all right.
You guys have any questions?
I don't, George.
No?
Nope.
Appreciate
All right.
it.
All right.
Have a good
Thank you.
day.
Thanks.
All right, next up is our weatherman. Oh, no, I'm sorry, not weatherman. What are you, weatherman, floodman? what-
Hydrologist.
Hydrologist?
Yeah. A little bit of everything. Good morning,
Yeah,
commissioners.
good morning.
Disaster
Good morning,
dude,
Miss
huh?
Kim. Yeah. I sent you an email with the latest great, oh, look at this. The guy's on board, Mr. Anderson. Mr. Anderson.
With the last 3 days and then the last, or the upcoming 10 days?
Yeah,
That's what I said. That's why I referenced you as Mr. Weatherman.
yeah, yeah. I'm good at this.
You don't look anything like Howard Morgan.
No, but you know, I'm learning. It's like congressmen and weathermen. You can say anything you want and get away with it. So I kind of feel like a weatherman.
I don't know if that's true, weatherman or not.
Yeah, so you got my report. My report is posted on the web for everybody in the public. They can see every report monthly. Usually comes up in the mid of each month. So the highlights some of the areas. We'll talk about some water runoff. So NOAA, their site, and talking to the National Weather Service, they didn't overly predict this rain that rained about 1 inch in Mancos and 1.5 inches everywhere else. So the river definitely went up in Dolores. You can see there on the chart, they're forecasting it. Their forecasts are kind of on and off, but they are showing with the warmer weather coming up, it's going to raise up. We're going to get close to action stage, but I don't foresee any runoff coming into the town. This is just going to be the river coming up. So saturation, upriver, a couple of homes, they're already set up for some of the flooding coming into their areas. So we've been up checking all of that. So Dolores is, I think we're just waiting for the end of May, and then it'll start slowly working its way down, I hope. Go to the next one there. This is Mancos River. They didn't predict this. The forecasts were off. I talked to Justin this morning, and last night he showed me some videos, so it was definitely up that high. They forecasted it way low. But no issues in Mancos at this point. The small amount of flooding we had on Spruce, ladies' home's fine, by the sewer plant it's fine, everything upriver's fine. And it doesn't look like we have any logs or debris on that river as well. Same with Mancos. We got a really large log in Dolores that's waiting to do something, but it moved from underneath, from West Fork. It kind of moved through the bridge and parked itself, so we're going to see what it does over the next few days. But debris management is really good in Mancos. Next slide was Lost Canyon, I think. Yep. And it went up, and it was playing pretty high. No issues that I'm aware of, no reported issues. Went up and looked at all of that, and everything seems to be okay. It's flowing really well. You can see their forecast. They're not sure what's going on right now because the runoff with the 1 inch of water and the soil's not taking it. The soil's pretty well saturated. Next one is Rico's coming up, so that'll be our next area, watching it come into our county. So we'll see that runoff. Next one is, this is the current, not forecasted, I guess. So you can see everything above 11,000 feet slowly melting off. We got quite a bit of snow up there on the Mancos side and Dolores side, but they're not showing too much of a change there, so it's all slowly melting off. The next one is the Mancos, dropping a little quicker. So our lower areas are pretty much melted off. It's that upper level. It'll continue for quite some time. And then the next one is McPhee. So they started dumping a lot more water. I think it was up to almost 4,100 cubic feet a second going down river, so we're keeping an eye on that. Our county's fine. The rest of the county's all the way to Gateway and over to Cisco, or the Cisco meter at Dewey in Utah. It's high water. It's flowing really well. So we're sending water to the Colorado River. From there, don't get me started. So anyway, they're working on it. They're going to start slowing down that flow so we can start gaining back by the weekend, the Memorial weekend. So it's looking good. No issues there. There's a spill meeting at 9 that I just missed, but I'll get some more info on that. Anything I got, I'll send to you guys. That's the weather forecast. Water. And then our indices for the fire predictions and what we kind of have and what we're seeing. That calculator, I sent you guys a copy, and we had a little bit of staffing level and response levels at 2. We're now at 1. We're pretty low. A lot of moisture out there. The RH is up pretty good. So we've had, I want to say, 3 lightning strikes with some trees burning, and we've caught them pretty quick. So and then we've had a couple calls on controlled burns that didn't get called in, of course. But we haven't had any fire issues, or at least not reported to me. Just some highlights. So I've got the training team on Everbridge right now, and we're doing all the training through portals and everything. So we're going to meet and get that kind of knocked out. So that I'm impressed with the dashboard. So thank you guys for that. Water levels, of course, just keep going up, and I send those out when I get a chance. And the feds paid the state, who paid us, finally for 2022. So we've received our emergency management performance grant, $46,793.70 is what we did finally receive. So we're paid off. The first quarter's already submitted this year. They said with this fancy portal system, it's supposed to move quicker and they pay us quicker. And I submitted that January, February, March, April 10th. And it's crickets, so I'm still waiting, but we'll see. We'll see how quick they actually send us some funding. And been working on plans, water runoff, building incident action plans, incident support plans. They're all built out until June 1st. And I don't think we're going to need any more planning. We'll just utilize those if something occurs after June, but I think we're good for the planning. And then the state's requiring, because FEMA's requiring integrated preparedness plans. They're called IPPs. And out of that, then you put together a training and exercise plan, which is a TEP, all these acronyms. You guys will be tested on this later. So with that, I have our 2022 24 through 26, integrated preparedness plan done. I have the training and exercise plan done for our county. All this is done for the county. Our incident management team, we got it finished. Vicky's working on the all hazards regional plan, so we should have all of them in by June. And it's pretty much based on the stakeholder meetings we had in 2022, when we all got together for like 5 days on and off, building what are our gaps and what are our capabilities in the county. So we're addressing the gaps through training, exercise, equipment, et cetera.
So, speaking of gaps, where do we stand on the generators that we were gonna have over at Public Health? And, cause we haven't had that conversation for a while, and I was just curious, where are they at? Did they get lost? Are we,
So,
where are they at?
okay. So all that was submitted by me to the state, and the state submitted it to the feds in December. And right now, let's see here. Yeah, no, sorry. I submitted it in December. They submitted it to FEMA on the 28th of this year. I got a typo there. And we're still waiting to hear back from FEMA. Apparently they're shorthanded and they don't have enough people to review the grants, is all I'm getting out of it. And I keep emailing and talking to the state person that's in charge of the FEMA side of it, and she says she's still waiting on them to send back an approval on that plan. So
We'd be glad to help them out.
I would love to help them out.
Yeah.
So once an IAP is developed and it's sent off, and it is established that these are the requests because of the requests that they have given to us, why does it take so long for them to implement the funding for that?
Yeah,
So
I agree.
it's crazy. This is now 2 years of this?
Yeah.
Yep.
It's ridiculous.
our hazard mitigation plan.
So they
that
want
we
us
put
to get
together.
everything prepared and ready, and we're working on it, and
Right. Well, Dolores, the town of, waited 4 months until they heard back from FEMA on their
So-
one generator in Siren. Mancus took, they were a little bit shorter, maybe, they were around 4 months until they heard back on their planning for their water runoff in town that they got from the hazard mitigation plan. And this is this is actually, it's $170,000 worth of generators and, all the installation, et cetera. And that's minimal compared to what other people are putting in, over up to $1 million in grants. And it's minimal on the review of the paperwork. I mean, there's still 30 different forms, but it's all done according to specs. The state makes sure it's done according to specs, and FEMA gets that packet. It's not COVID. I mean, I don't know what excuse they have other than they're understaffed, is what I'm hearing.
so
Like I said, we'd be
put
glad
a
to
little
help
more,
them out in
put a
that
little
department.
more pressure on them.
Yeah, every
The best
week.
laid plan without the resources to put it together is
No plan.
no plan at all.
Right,
So let them know that.
yeah.
Pressure.
Yeah. I'll tell them it comes direct from the bosses.
Exactly. This is crazy.
Yeah, I know.
It's
Take
hurry,
forever.
hurry, hurry, get these in, get them submitted, hurry, 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 we work our asses off.
Yep.
We get them all submitted and done.
And then we
Well, we
wait.
can wait for 2 years.
Oh, well, that's
We can
these,
wait for 3 years.
these new plans that I just finished. I just got it yesterday. And they said, oh, we have to have it by the 31st, another plan. I'm like, okay, so you gave me 2 weeks? What happened to sending me that like in January? So I could like take some time, look at it?
Anyway, I will.
Same
digress.
stuff. Never ends.
Pressure them.
Oh, you guarantee I have,
Every day, pressure them.
Yeah. I have a friend in public safety of the state that I have been speaking with. I will speak with him again, yeah. We'll see if that can push some pressure from the state to the feds, I don't know. But we'll see. That's it, gentlemen. Another fine month.
It's going good. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Appreciate it. Weatherman Morgan.
At least he didn't draw happy on the wall.
All right, moving right along into unfinished business. We have a discussion of possible signing of a public health air quality contract. This was brought forward yesterday in our workshop. It was discussed. Ian, I think you've reviewed it. This is basically the same.
Yeah, no legal issues with this contract. This is just for them to continue the air monitoring here in the county.
Okay. Commissioner Lindsay did ask a question yesterday as to what
What they monitoring for?
what was being monitored. Laura will get back to us and we will bring that to you as far as what the actual particulates that they're monitoring at that point in time when we get it. So with that, gentlemen, what's your pleasure?
You have it, Gerald?
What do now?
Okay.
I move to sign contract amendment number 1, contract number 2023 pound 0441 with the Colorado Department of Public Health and Environment.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to sign contract amendment number 1 from CDPHE to the Board of County Commissioners of Montezuma County. Amendment contract 2023-0441, AMD number 1. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Shall I find my place to sign and then I'll sign it later. Okay, moving right along, we have also a discussion for the signing of a public health emergency preparedness program grant. Laurel also gave this to us yesterday. And kind of explained where they were going. This is not full funding, but it was 50% funding for this program. They are trying to put together piecemeal a few other portions of this to keep this one as a full FTE. One would be a comms and then communication person along with this. So any further discussion, gentlemen?
No.
I don't have anything.
Okay.
I move to sign this task order contract waiver number 154 between Colorado Department of Health, Safety, and Environment and the Montezuma County Board of County Commissioners.
Second.
Okay, it's moved and seconded to sign the approved task order contract waiver number 154 between the State of Colorado Public Health and Environment and Montezuma County Board of County Commissioners. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I think that one's just asking for Bobby, so. All right. Next we have a decision regarding the invoice for the contract for the town of Dolores siren. This was also discussed yesterday in our workshop. It was not followed by the procurement policy, so gentlemen, what do you want to do?
Well, I have a question. A lot of years ago, we had a fireman that wanted, his final goodbye was to set the siren off there behind Hart Moving and Storage. So me and a couple of guys, we set that siren off. And I got a call from Empire Electric said, don't you ever do that again, because it screwed up our system. So I'm wondering, has Empire Electric been contacted about this power? Because these things take a lot of juice. So I really don't know, and I don't want to put them into a position of having to show up and put stuff up that they don't have the facilities to put up. I mean,
I don't, obviously, I can't answer that question.
I
think the
don't-
gentleman that could answer is not in here right now,
Right.
so, we can,
but
we'll
I will
just,
try and follow that up myself. This is one of those late night thoughts that comes to you, you know, memories that get jogged.
But this siren really is something that the town of Dolores and the Dolores Fire Protection District have. I mean, we don't run the siren. The contract is we're contributing to the siren. I mean, basically. And we have some maintenance responsibilities, but it's not the county's siren. So, I mean, I think it's a good point to reach out to Empire, but I'm not sure that it really pertains to the contractual obligation either way.
Yeah, I sort of took us off track, but
well, that's okay. I mean, it's a discussion. we can
It's
have
a
that.
valid point.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It's just,
I think the bigger question is, since it didn't come to us for an approval, and now we have an invoice to pay a bill, where do we wanna take it out of?
the only thing we have available is a gaming grant, isn't it?
Well, it's discretionary, and we have enough
Yeah.
funds in there, but I guess the bigger point is now that the sheriff realizes that we have a procurement policy and things that before prior expenditures, it has to be approved, so.
And I'm like Ian, the only thing that in there is the maintenance part of this. It puts us in a position to help maintain something that the town of Dolores wanted.
So, I mean, do we have to do that, Ian, as far as the maintenance contract of it? Kind of two different things here. I
So
realize
the-
one is the contribution for the,
so per this contract, the sheriff has obligated himself to perform maintenance duties on that system. So if that duty was not performed, then I guess it's conceivable that a breach of contract action could be brought. I mean, that's what the language says.
but this is not a contract between us. the
No,
county.
Montezuma County has not obligated itself to maintain anything.
Yeah.
We're just obligated to pay the $10,000.
Well,
If we sign this contract, we're obligated.
the sheriff has obligated himself to pay $10,000 for this system.
Okay.
Gerald, you have any thoughts?
Does he have that in his budget someplace?
Well, it wasn't a specific line item, that's why we're talking about it. It didn't come to us with prior approval to talk about what line item was it gonna get taken out of. So there's no specific line item. The gaming grant is a grant that he can utilize. There's no discretion with it, it's very broad. So,
And our policy says that we need to use grant funding prior to general fund.
So let's use that,
okay.
take it out of his gaming grant.
So we will take it out of the gaming grant, so basically we need approval to actually pay the bill then.
So moved. I move that we approve the expenditure from the gaming grant for the contract for the town of the Dolores siren.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to pay the invoice of $10,000 for the siren for Dolores and utilize the gaming grant funding. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. All right, the next thing here too, we have another discussion regarding the upfitting of all the patrol units. As was displayed yesterday, we have some from about 12.8 up to 14.5. I think we have 5 correct right now, Travis?
What was your question, sir?
We have 5 invoices that are,
Yeah, I believe the total figure is roughly 76,000.
due right now, and we have potentially 5 more that are coming that are already completed in Denver. So again, same situation.
How much is in that gaming grant? Do you know?
Yes, the
202.
gaming grant, I pulled it up right now. For 2023, we have $202,000 budgeted. I don't know what's expended off of this sheet right now, but you just took another 10,000 from that.
Yeah.
So
About
before,
takes more.
before the meeting, we checked and there's roughly 10,000 expended, and that was prior to the Dolores.
Okay.
So 20,000 from the 202, so about 182,000. So here again, there would be enough
Right.
in that account. Because what we have here, we're gonna get the same amount again.
I would so move we approve the upfitting of the patrol cars for the sheriff as the invoice relates, and that money's to be taken out of the gaming grant.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to pay for the upfitting of the patrol units as it relates, and it will be paid out of the gaming grant also. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, as we discussed yesterday, we also have a contract which is through the Board of County Commissioners with the town of Dolores. We discussed it yesterday. Basically, if you guys want to go ahead and move forward with that, Travis and I will set up a meeting with the town of Dolores to discuss the numbers for that contract. So I don't know if we need any formal
No.
movement on that. It's just that direction moving forward to get that.
You bet.
So we'll move forward on that. Okay, so now we have a decision and a discussion pertaining to the change in the voting members as it applies to the Dispatch Accountability Committee.
Okay.
Yeah.
What resolution number are we gonna be?
I think we're at 11.
Sounds right.
11? I move to approve Resolution 11-2023, a resolution appointing Montezuma County as voting member to the Dispatch Accountability Committee, and that will be Kent Lindsay as the primary and Travis Anderson as the secondary.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to sign resolution number 11, 2023, a resolution appointing Montezuma County's voting member to the Dispatch Accountability Committee. The primary will be Commissioner Lindsay.
Sorry, guys. I had two. So that would be number 12. I apologize.
Just one needs to be signed. There were just 2 copies there.
But the number.
The
Twelve.
number, instead of 11, we need to use 12,
Oh,
20,
okay.
23.
Okay,
Because-
gotcha.
So that,
Gotcha.
we have a correction on the resolution number. It's resolution number 12, 2023. The primary being Commissioner Kent Lindsay, and the secondary would be Administrator Travis Anderson. Any further discussion?
No.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, we also discussed in length the decision regarding the dispatch IGA. There's a meeting coming up on Thursday, and I believe that Commissioner Lindsay and Administrator Anderson will be there. It is on their agenda, so that will be discussed at length there to try and get that IGA put together properly and have it re-signed within the next 30 to 60 days.
Yep.
So no formal action or movement on that. Now, this was a lengthy discussion yesterday regarding the disbursement of the amount of patrol county-owned property. We have two stall sheds, we have a hay shed, we have multiple panels, I didn't even finish counting them all. T-posts, all the tack, everything that you see displayed on this list. Since the program is gone, there's no reason to keep that, so it's just a matter now, do we want to public surplus it, get it out of there as quickly as we can, or those were all part of the discussion yesterday.
Gerald, do you have anything?
I don't have anything, I just,
Okay, let's
just,
try and get this.
if we're gonna, are we gonna leave the trailer, or?
Yeah, I'd
I
like,
think we can leave that until we get a approval from the city, but we can go ahead and public surplus everything else as it relates to that, which I call it one shed unit and a trailer, which would be the two stalls, tack room, kind of one shed
yeah,
unit.
and the panels.
Yeah.
And the trailer. I would so move we publicly disperse the inventory for the mounted patrol program, except the one shed unit, which consists of the shed, tack room, the panels that go around it, and also the trailer. Did I put that right? I think I did. Yeah.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to go to public surplus for the mounted patrol inventory as displayed, with the exception of one shed unit and the three-horse slant trailer. That will be decided at a later time, depending on approval from the city of Cortez. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, under new business, we have resolution number 11.
Sorry,
Okay,
I didn't know the other one.
amending the 2022
Sorry.
budget. You have anything to add on this one, Travis?
No, this is just an updated resolution for the budget based upon additional revenues received.
I move to approve resolution number 11-2023, a resolution amending the 2022 budget.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to sign resolution number 11, 2023, amending the 2022, resolution amending the 2022 budget. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. You know, Ian, we left something off here. As it related to the SRS funding, there's no reason that we can't transfer that 25% of that funding to the road and bridge right now, is there? Because that's by statute.
25% goes by statute automatically. What we've always done in the past is we've come up with, I mean, I don't know budgetarily in the books how it's been done. I mean, generally speaking, what we've done is we've had the meeting, we've had the resolution to
Do it all at one time.
do it all at one time.
Okay.
So,
Which I think is gonna be a lot simpler for finance if
Okay.
we just do it at once.
Okay. All right. All righty, well then I will go to Mr. Dobry in the back, our grant coordinator.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Good morning.
So I have a few updates for you. We, so far this year, have submitted $2.691 million in grants. We're waiting to hear about a bunch of them about in the next between 2 weeks and maybe 5 weeks. That's when the deadlines for a lot of those till the review deadlines are. So we should be hearing on a bunch of that stuff soon. The priorities that I'm working on right now are grants for fiber, grants for road and bridge, a lot of the infrastructure money that's coming through the system. But the main thing that I wanted to talk to you guys today about was some procedure stuff. So after looking at the new grant policy that you guys approved either last meeting or the meeting before, I wanted to kind of tie down the process and make sure that all the departments are getting what they need, so that throughout the entire process, both the finance and treasurer, everybody can see these. So I put together a draft form for departments, basically includes all the information, what UEI, what department the grant is being submitted under, how much it is, what the match is, if the match is cash or in kind, is it budgeted, does it include FTEs, all the kind of information that it seems like you are wanting to track on a regular basis. And my idea would be that the department would submit this before submittal as part of their grant process. As long as the dollar amount stayed the same, you could approve that early in the process. They could still be editing and writing grants and not submitting it yet, but you'd be approving it for submittal. As long as there wasn't any change more than $1,000, because that was in the new policy, that was the floor or the ceiling, I guess. And then for final award and approval, it would come back to you a second time after it had been awarded by whatever grantor for signature by the BOCC. So I just wanted to kind of run this process by you and see what you thought, if there's anything you think could work better. I know that I want to make sure that I get, and then that finance, particularly finance and treasurer gets the grants, so that once they're awarded, they know when money's coming in, they know what it's for. So that was one of the things I wanted to kind of include in that process.
So it's just an early approval process, somewhat like a first reading?
Yeah, and I mean, I wanted to check with you and see, do you want to, how many times before a grant is submitted do you want to see it? Do you want to see it once and you approve it through a process like this, or do you want to see it and finally approve the grant? One of the concerns I think that departments have is that with you guys meeting once a week, sometimes when you're writing a grant, you're coming up to the deadline, and if that deadline is, say, a Friday, then you've now pushed that deadline almost a week ahead to meet your meetings. But if they could get this approved, get the amounts approved, and get the basics of the grant approved, then they'd be authorized to sign, or Travis would be authorized to sign, or Commissioner Candelaria would be authorized to sign, depending on that process, to submit the grant. And then it would come back to you for approval once it's awarded.
I mean, we meet twice a week here, so I'm not sure we would be pushing any deadlines that we wouldn't know about, would we?
No, I mean, I just kind of, I want to make sure that we get all of the oversight information that you guys need from the departments.
So,
and then,
so to answer your question, just from my perspective, I would like to see it at least twice. Once in its original presentation to say what we're doing, what we're looking at, what we're going forward.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the form pretty much delineates it, so that's great, but it's also nice to hear for what the need truly is.
no, I imagine that you would hear from the department, they would just submit this as part of that. But do you, I guess what I'm asking is, if a department identifies a grant that they want to apply for and they have a project, they can write up a paragraph about it and fill out all the information about the match, where it's coming from, how much money, is it budgeted, all of that information. If they submitted that to you, do you then want to see it again before, the grant is submitted?
I don't see any reason to see the actual submittal. I mean, I think what's important for this board is to understand that there's, hey, this department's going to apply for such and such a grant, this is the amount, and that's kind of what's outlined on this form. I mean, we
submittals,
certainly
we
don't
don't-
need to see the
We don't
final
see the
submittal.
submittals.
Okay, that's
We
what
don't-
I wanted to
We don't need
confirm.
the submittals.
Okay, great. That's what I wanted to confirm. Because then a department could bring this to you earlier in the process, get it approved, ready to go, and then the next time you would see it is once the award is awarded for the final approval. So, so if this works for you, I've run it by Travis, I've run it by finance, so I think the next step will be just to kind of implement that because then for every grant submitted, we'll have one. We can look and make sure that we have it throughout the process and know that it's trackable by all the departments that need the info, and we aren't getting surprised later down the line. And we know that things are being administered appropriately through the reporting process to the grantor.
And I think the other aspect is trying to streamline the expenditure process. Is kind of what the thought process. That way, you're not being inundated with all these expenditures. You know up front what's going to happen.
Yeah.
So the only other question I had is, does this track all of the metrics, all the pieces that you would want to see in advance? I think so from looking at the policy, but I just wanted.
I think it's a good place to start. If we see something that needs to be added, we can definitely add it.
Okay.
Or we can subtract it. So I think it's a good place to start, and we'll work with it and see if it meets our needs.
Okay, sounds good. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Rob.
Have you heard anything on that fiber grant? I know that Jim McLean's probably following that, but.
The NTIA grant, the latest we've heard from Shaq is that it will, I think the latest we've heard is that we'll hear in June sometime. We don't have a definitive date on that yet. There are a couple of other fiber grants that we were hoping to hear from that one, because then that could shape what specifically we were going to apply for some of this other NTIA money coming down for the CPF and BEAD grants. But I think that deadline is now pushed past that, so we're just going to have to put our projects together for those and apply in the interim.
Okay.
Yeah. And the one other thing on the fairgrounds, we're in process. I haven't gotten a final date from DOLA on when we'll have to go present the project to the committee, but once we have that, I'll share that with you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Sounds good. Thanks, Robert. Okay, Mr. McLaren.
So the biggest thing I have to report from last week, our Ironwood case, I was in communication with CDPHE's attorneys at the Attorney General's office, also in touch with counsel for Ironwood. The stipulated injunction that's currently in place requires that the pile be completely removed by the end of this month. It does not appear that Ironwood's going to meet that deadline, and based on consultations with CDPHE and you guys, it has been decided that no further extensions are going to be granted by CDPHE or the county to remove that pile. And so the end of the month is the deadline. Now, certainly, Ironwood has the ability to petition the court for an extension of the date, and if that does happen, hasn't happened yet, if that does happen, we certainly will vehemently oppose that request. The options for enforcement after that date would be a contempt motion, and if Ironwood were held in contempt, there are provisions in the stipulated injunction that would allow Ironwood to be fined up to $10,000 a day for each day that it's out of compliance. That would be in the judge's discretion, but that is in that stipulated injunction. So, at this point, certainly, we're sort of in a holding pattern until the end of the month, and then at the end of the month, we will go down and see where things are at. Certainly, CDPHE is going to send their inspector down at the end of the month, and then we'll all get together and figure out how we want to move forward. But at this point, that's where we're at. Certainly, like I said, Ironwood could petition for an extension. Haven't seen that yet. I'm not sure if that's in the cards or not, but that is out there. One other update, there was the curtain burner, the curtain incinerator that was being used at the site. That is no longer being used and has been transported off-site. My understanding is because the chips were so moist, it was causing excess smoke, and so Ironwood elected to no longer utilize that as part of the removal. So that's where we're at with that. Set in for interviews for the Director of Social Services last week. Thought we had some great candidates, and we were able to make a decision. I'll let you guys announce that if and when you're ready. Also, set in on several child protection hearings last week. Our Assistant County Attorney was out of the office, and I would just like to commend both the department and our Assistant County Attorney. I think that the hearings that I sat in, everything was in really good shape. Things were really moving along well in those cases, and so the cases that we do have in court, I feel like progress is being made and the ball's being moved. So that was good to see, and so props to them. That's all I have to report at this time.
Okay, very good. Thank you. Travis?
So just busy day-to-day last week. We're looking at a software program that comes free from our company that does our benefits. And it's free. It'll help with the onboarding. It'll help with people who's wanting to pick their own health insurance. And it's going to get a lot of work off of our human resources because it'll put it back on the individual to address that. So we're in the process of working on that. DSS director interviews. Echo what Ian said, good candidates. You gentlemen sat in on it, and we made a good choice, I think. I'll let you, she has accepted the position, but I'll let you gentlemen make that announcement. Chief Knuckles reached out to him. They're going to try to assist the Fair Board and the 4-H with their beer garden, beer tent. And so I let Mary know to reach out and get that taken care of. So hopefully we'll have a resolution for them out there. Had a meeting regarding Proposition 123. That's still confusing. I think they're putting the cart before the horse. There was a lot of questions. So there'll be more to come on that Proposition 123 on the affordable housing. And then just followed up with the County Road 2025 issue that we talked about in planning.
Okay, very good. Thank you, Travis. Commissioner Copenaver.
This last week, I attended the Mankistown meeting. They had one of their deputies, I guess, is moving on to another place. They swore in a new deputy. And most of the stuff they were just general business stuff that they had to do there other than swearing in a new deputy. Young guy, seemed like a really nice young man that they had brought in to fill in that position already. So they were able to fill that position right away, which is a good. I talked to them some about some of the different water meetings that are going on so that they can get involved because they need to get more up on what their water situation is and stuff in Mancos. So they're moving forward on that. Heather's basically trying to get involved and go to some of these classes and stuff, and so I was trying to get her hooked up with Southwest so they can notify her of when these classes are for Water 101 and different education things to get her up on to speed on some of the stuff. The other thing I did also is I volunteered myself for another job. I'm not sure I'll get appointed to it, but it's with the governor's task force on the Colorado River stuff. There has to be so many appointed from out of Southwest here, and one of them has to be a public official with some supply of municipal water. One of them has to be an irrigator with irrigation rights and that sort of thing too. So I don't know, we'll see what happens with it, but may be involved in that if we can. We're gonna definitely have some people out of the Southwest be involved in it, at least the way that bill's written. So we'll have some say in how it's gonna happen, but I told Steve that our manager at Southwest, that if they needed somebody to do it, I would try to help as much as I can.
Appreciate
And
that.
that's
Thank
about
you.
it.
Appreciate it. At least maybe we'll have a little more of a voice.
Well, we need to get somebody that actually has irrigation rights in it and actually using the water and doing stuff with it, voice on that panel, because so many of those are not that way. I mean, all you have to do is look at some of the boards we have in the state, and it's just, it's dealing with all this agriculture, water, and everything else. There's not a person on there that is in agriculture, really.
They use
It's
it,
just, yeah,
Okay.
sad.
Commissioner Lindsay.
Yeah, we attended the inventory yesterday out at the sheriff's office for amount of patrol disposal, and of course, we had work session quite a while yesterday. And also went to the city council meeting last Tuesday, and they did approve the use for Denikai out here on the street. Was it May 20th? Yeah, May 20th. And did some hotel and restaurant license renewals and marijuana license renewal. Also, they declared National Hospital Week, a proclamation for National Hospital Week, the week of May 7th through the 13th, which were passed already, and also Historic Preservation Day on the 13th. And they've got a historic designation for the property up here at 20 to 30 West Main, and also did their housing needs assessment resolution, so they're gonna look at that really close, and approved the car wash for a car wash to proceed through their regular agenda, and also got some professional service contract for the municipal judge, but they went into executive session, so that was kind of the end of the meeting for me. That's about all that happened.
Okay, very good. Thank you. For me, again, with Commissioner Copenay for our attorney and administrator, we did do our interviews for the Department of Social Services. We did, again, have good candidates. It was good to be able to have candidates to choose from. We did pick a candidate. Her name is Kelly Hargraves. She was offered the job, she accepted the job, and she will be starting around the middle of June. So when we lose our director at the end of June, we will be able to backfill that immediately. Spent a lot of the day Saturday out at the 12 Hours of Mesa Verde in the morning and the afternoon. Huge crowd again. Gosh, if you didn't have the opportunity to drive by there, you should one time. That puts so much money back into our community, and they give, just like the presentation here, they give it all back into the community, whether it's the Child Advocacy Center. They gave us a list, and
It's an extensive list.
it's a pretty extensive list for all the people in the community. I think he said last year they gave away $80,000, and I'm curious to see what they'll have this year, but it's a pretty amazing event. Like Commissioner Lindsay said, we did a site visit yesterday at the sheriff's office. We walked around the property there to kind of look and see what we have for disbursement. As was discussed today, we'll put it on public surplus. Public surplus is open to anybody and everybody, so any of that equipment will be available for auction as soon as we get it listed. We did have our workshop yesterday. We had a presentation from Andrea McAlpin, I believe, on early childhood. The number, and this was just Montezuma County, it was 919 that we are basically deficient as far as infant and toddler care just within this county. So we asked, basically, we were asking, what are you asking of us? Is it to get, remove some of the hurdles and the roadblocks? And more or less a brainstorming idea, I think. Obviously, we didn't make any decisions today because I'm not sure, other than just awareness that, you know, there are a lot of current barriers that we have as far as childcare in our community. So 919 is a pretty big gap in Montezuma County. We did have a discussion. We had 2 representatives from the school show up. We had Mancus Dolores show up. RE1 did not show up. So as far as it relates to the Secure Rural Schools funding, SRS, that'll be pushed down until we get all 3 of the districts in here to have that conversation of how they want that disbursement to take place. Per statute, we have to have that conversation before we can disperse any of the funds. Everything else we took care of on our agenda today. And for me, that's all that I have. So with that, gentlemen,
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
been moved and seconded to adjourn this May 15th meeting, May 16th meeting. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And there will be a Board of Health this afternoon at 1:30.
Maybe.
Maybe.
Maybe.